Hello and welcome to the first live cooking show from the Basque Chefs. Today, in light of everything that's happening in the world, I thought I would bring a very simple and easy solution to self-isolation. Anybody who's in isolation, good luck. But what I wanted to do was make a very simple and very easy gnocchi. Something that is very simple to do, uses very little ingredients. I will also make two sauces, well, one sauce and one way of cooking the gnocchi, so that you can see just how flavoursome or how to add flavour to it. So what we're going to do is, you won't see my face too much, which is probably good. I've got a face for radio. So what we will do is we'll move the camera down so you can see all of the ingredients. And how are we looking? Perfect. Okay. So let me just go through what we've got here. To make gnocchi, you need mashed potatoes. Now, what we've done is, to avoid a very lengthy video, we've already pre-mashed the potatoes. We boiled them up. You need about 800 grams of potatoes. Now, there's 2 or 3 different ways that you can make the potatoes, depending on, and you'll understand in a second. So the first one is to just cut them and boil them as normal, peel them, but this takes on a lot of water, and with a lot of water you will end up using a lot more flour to try and dry the gnocchi out. The way that I've done it is I boil the potatoes completely with their skin on, so that by the time they are fully boiled, I let them cool down, I then peel them, and that actually stops as much moisture going in. The third option is that you can steam the potatoes. So again, steam them with their skin on, and it will absorb less moisture. So what you do when it's all nice and cool is you just mash it with a bit of salt, a bit of white pepper or pepper, just for taste, and then you put it aside to cool down. What we've then got is 300 grams of flour. It can be plain or self-raising. It doesn't make that much of a difference. You have 1 egg, so an egg that's lightly whisked. We'll whisk that in a second. Some salt, some pepper, and 40 grams of Parmesan. And then you've got some flour separate for dusting the surface and for rolling the gnocchi. So I'm just going to put all of this aside so that I can get everything ready. And what we will do is, first we will crack the egg and mix the egg a little bit. It doesn't have to be fully whisked. Something very simple. Put it aside. What we'll then do is get some of the flour, dust the surface, and then what we can do is we put the mashed potato in the middle of the surface that's all floured. Mash it together a bit, make a nice well, pour the other ingredients in, so the egg, the Parmesan, we put some salt, and everybody's got their own different tastes for salt, so put on however much you think. You can always add to it later if you haven't got enough. And some pepper. Now what we do is we put about half of the flour in the mixture as well. And then we just start mixing and kneading to combine all of the ingredients. Now what we will do is, if you have any questions, if you ask, we will try our best to answer them all. And I did see that comment, and I'm not going to, Mr. Rushton, thank you very much. This is a quick and easy solution. So if there is any other questions apart from Mr. Rushton's, he is a personal friend, so he's going to try and make a joke out of everything, I think. So as you're mixing all of the potato in, what we then do is add more of the flour. Generally we do this another 2 times. So first batch is half the flour, the second is a quarter, and then the final quarter goes in. And you just keep kneading it until it's all nice and combined. Boom. Now what we are going to do with the sauces, just while I'm doing this, is I'm going to post up, after this is all done, 7 different sauces or flavors that you can add to the gnocchi, just to give it a bit more flavor. What we will be showing you tonight is we're going to be showing you a pink tomato sauce. So it's a fresh sauce with a bit of chili, bit of herbs in it. We're also going to be doing frying in a pan some of the gnocchi with some garlic and sage and butter, which again is very flavoursome. And then we will add the other 5 to the main recipe when we put it online. So just keep kneading this until it's all nice and combined. And if it starts to get a bit dry, just add a bit more flour, or a bit, if it goes a bit sticky and wet, add a bit more flour until it's all nice. And when you're done, if you get a knife or a cutting tool or a spatula, I'm just using something that I use for decorating cakes, just cut it into 4. Fairly simple. Put 3 of the sections aside. Just clean up your bench space. Add some more flour for dusting, and then what we do is with each of the pieces we roll them into big long strips. Now this is totally dependent on you, whether you want big gnocchi, little gnocchi, medium sized, but generally what we would do is put them into relatively sensible sized pieces. This whole entire ingredients will cater for 4 people, so just divide it up, hence why you divide it into 4. When you have it fully rolled out, just cut into small pieces like this. Generally you will get used to it and make them roughly all the same size. Just make sure that when you are cutting with your blade that you flour your blade so that the gnocchi doesn't stick. Fairly simple. And then we have all of the little gnocchi. Now what I tend to do now is roll them all quite small into little balls, so that we can make a nice little design in them when we're done. Now the one good thing about this recipe is it's so simple and easy. Just a couple of ingredients. You can bulk make them and freeze them for later on. Homemade gnocchi will stay in your freezer, for a standard chest freezer or standard freezer, for about 4 to 6 weeks. You could even get 8 weeks out of it at a push. Fairly quick.
Your portion sizes are always well.
Thank you. And as we continue making the little balls, this is great for the kids, especially if you're in isolation with some kids. You know, let them get their hands dirty, make a big mess. Unfortunately, somebody has to clean it up, so it's either you or the kids to clean it up. But they can be involved in making all of this food as well.
You create your own shapes and designs. Make it fun.
Make it fun. What I do sometimes with gnocchi is I actually add extra flavouring to it in the mixture, whether it be chili, garlic, extra flavouring in the mixture before I make the little gnocchis, and it just gives a nice bit of a punch. Almost done with the first batch. Now what we are going to do is we're only going to make this one batch, and then later on I will finish the other ones. So when you have completed this bit and you've got all these balls, if you get a fork and some flour and dip it in flour, make sure there's flour on it, and again to stop it sticking, and then just roll the gnocchi around and then put it on a little tray with parchment paper so that it doesn't stick, and we get it all prepared, ready to drop it into the water for cooking. And you'll start to see it taking the shape of normal gnocchi. Now, if everything goes okay with this live feed tonight, we will be entertaining some new live feeds in the future.
Can I do the next one?
Can you do the next one? Yeah. So the next one we're going to be doing is making homemade bread.
Unless I choose something different.
Yeah. No. So we want to make it so that the viewers can make something simple, easy, things that you may have lots of ingredients sitting in the house that you just didn't know what to do with. And again, the gnocchi is so simple and easy to make and flavoursome. You can make it a little bit more adventurous if you want. But don't tell the Italians, because they like their own recipes. Kidding if you're Italian, apologies. And here we go.
Yeah.
We're doing well. Now, while all of this has been being made, in the background I've had some water boiling, ready for dropping the gnocchi in. Gnocchi generally takes 3 to 4 minutes to cook. When you drop them in, you just wait for them to rise to the surface. When they rise to the surface, generally they're done, but I always give them an extra sort of 30 or 40 seconds just to make sure they're fully cooked. Simple recipes. And almost there.
They look cute.
Yeah, little baby ones.
They're cute homemade ones.
But like I say, you can make them and freeze them. I like to make batches of stuff, so it saves me having to sit and do this all the time.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend a couple of hours and make enough to last me at least a day or two. Sorry, no, a couple of weeks.
Good food prep.
Yeah.
I can
Excellent.
see.
Okay,
Kids turning them
so
into stars and everything.
as you can see here, we have the gnocchi. What I am going to do now is I'm just going to rinse my hands, and then we will start the next stage. 2 seconds.
20 seconds, remember?
Excellent. So what I want to do now is I'm going to quickly show you what I'm going to use for the pink tomato sauce, and then we'll go and do it in the pot over here. Now, the tomato sauce, generally I would make the tomato sauce from scratch. I'd go and buy the tomatoes and get them all done, but you know, not everybody's capable of doing that or doesn't have the time to do it. So what we're going to do for the first time in ages is we're going to use a tin of peeled tomatoes.
And that's what everyone would have in their pantry.
Yes, correct. We're going to use some fresh cream. We are going to use some chili powder, and some pepper, some salt, and yeah, it's a very basic, very simple one. So I'll move this over here, ready for when I'm about to do it. And if we bring the camera over, my executive producer, so what I'll do first is I will prepare the sauce. Because the gnocchi only takes a minute or two, doing the sauce is important to do it and have it on the side. The other thing I did forget that we needed to add to the sauce was some Parmesan cheese. So we'll add the Parmesan as well. So open the tin of tomatoes. Very simple.
And we'll make another video later for how we make ours from scratch.
Yeah. And then just mash the potato, or mash the tomatoes with your potato peeler or potato masher. I'm getting all the words mixed up. It's fairly simple. Just make sure it's nice and smooth. Bring that to the boil a little bit. Add some salt and some pepper. Thank you, Mark. I did see that comment. So we'll stir this in.
He's a cheeky guy.
He is a cheeky guy.
It's always nice to have a friend.
A friend, really. So stir this in. We will add some mixed herbs as well, just to give it a little bit of a flavour. Some mixed herbs. Some chili. Now everybody has different hotness of chili, so put whatever in that you think you want to, how hot you want it, to your flavouring.
We usually like to cry.
Now. Put about 40 grams of Parmesan into the mixture, and this will thicken it up a little bit. And just keep it stirring so that it doesn't burn or stick to the bottom of the pot. Add in some cream. Keep stirring.
And we should make some good macros meals as well.
Ah, yes.
Macros family meals.
For those fitness freaks.
Yeah.
Not that I am a fitness freak, but fitness freaks will love the macro-based meals. And fairly simple. As you can see, it's turned a nice shade of pink. So what we will do is now put that at the back burner so that it still cooks while we move the water back so that we can cook our gnocchi. Now with your water, add in some salt. And then when you're up to a boil, a steady boil, we just add the gnocchi in. Now, be very careful not to overfill the pot, because if you overfill the pot, the gnocchi will actually stick together. So you want it to be nice and sparse at the bottom. If you need to, do a second batch. Fairly simple. Ooh. Now what we will do with this is we are going to split this serving into two so that we can show you it with the pink sauce and then with the butter sauce.
So when we put the recipe up online tomorrow, we'll make sure we have recipes for about 7 different sauces that you can put with a gnocchi.
Yes, well done.
Thank you.
And now, as you can see, some of the gnocchi has started rising.
And how long do you normally have the gnocchi cooking for?
So you normally cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes. It just does depend on the size of the gnocchi. But you know, once they've all popped up to the top, I just generally give it about another 30 seconds, and then I drain them, and they're ready for eating.
Wow.
And yes, I did wash my hands, Sonia. Thank you very much.
Over here.
Yes, and the sauce is cooking in the background, becoming nice and warm. Well done. Okay, so fairly simple. The gnocchi is ready. So what we will do now is we'll turn it off. We will put it through the strainer. And in case anybody's wondering what the little black bits are, that is pepper. So we will leave that there to drip a little bit. Away we go. And while we've got this cooking, I will quickly make the
Garlic.
butter and sage.
And I like how you cook with garlic slices because it makes such a nice taste and flavour.
Right. Excellent.
Producer will work on her camera skills.
Yes. So put some butter into the frying pan.
Yeah.
Let that melt down. And as it was just said, we have garlic slices. So all I've done is got a couple of cloves of garlic. I've just sliced them very thin. It keeps all the flavour in. So we'll cook that in a second. Again, as always, put some salt in,
To your liking.
some pepper to your liking. Let it melt. And then we put all of the garlic in and let that start to cook the garlic off. While we are cooking the garlic off there, we will put half of the gnocchi into the bowl. And then we will just pour some of the sauce in. Very, very simple dish.
So good.
And then to add a little bit more flavour, a little bit of Parmesan on the top. Looking good.
Maybe a little bit
some
cracked
more
pepper.
pepper. One very quick meal done. So that can go to the side now while we do the last one. So now that the garlic, you should smell this kitchen, wow. Now that the garlic is cooking, what we will do is, if you haven't got real sage leaves, just get the ground sage leaves from the supermarket, pour some in.
Again, we're using these ingredients because that's what people generally have in their home all the time.
Very simple. And then put the rest of the gnocchi in to cook off.
If you have any other ideas of what you'd like us to cook, please let us know.
Yes.
Happy to do that.
And very, very simple.
Am I allowed to taste one of the other ones?
Yes, of course you can. There you go.
Because although the cooking looks simple, it's so flavoursome.
Excellent.
My turn to eat. Yum. Oh, it's so soft, so tender. Beautiful.
Take a fork out. Very simple.
Great job.
And there is your gnocchi with a garlic butter and sage. Very simple. And again, let's put some Parmesan in the top there.
Yep.
Put some black pepper. So, Judith, easy lasagna and homemade pasta, very easy. I will add that to the list.
There we go.
Now be careful, that will be hot. It is just out of the frying pan.
Now I have tried his first one before, but this is the first time I'm tasting the garlic.
Very
Wow.
simple.
I don't believe that could beat the other one.
So
Divine.
that is pretty much it. Very simple, very easy. You can make this, you can freeze it. If you make too much sauce, you can freeze the sauce. And it's quick and easy out of the freezer. You just boil them up for 3 to 4 minutes and away you go.
Thank you for joining us tonight, and hopefully you can join us next Saturday night for a
another
joint
dish.
or
Another
my
dish.
turn to cook.
And Diane, yes, moussaka. I haven't made that in several years, but I do have a very good recipe for that. So thank you all for watching. Hopefully this was simple and easy for you, and hopefully it's something that you can get into, ready for any isolation you may or may end up doing.
So
And enjoy.
now
See you
I need
next
to
time.
go and enjoy my dinner. Bye.
Bye.